All right, welcome. Thank y'all for being here. Again, sorry to keep y'all waiting. First of all, I think I want to hit on the biggest news of the day, and that's Coach Huggins getting elected to the Hall of Fame. I think much deserved. 900 plus wins. What he's done for the game of college basketball. What he's done for not only here in West Virginia but also at Cincinnati. I grew up in Central Kentucky, and so not very far away from UC when he was doing establishing his program. And I just remember, because I thought I was a basketball player. Everybody in Kentucky thinks they're a basketball player, right? So when growing up in his teams with Van Exel and all those guys, and they had the baggy shorts, and they were the Jordan brand, and all that kind of stuff. And they had a cool factor, and we were a team that ran up and down the floor, and that's how he was playing. And so life kind of comes full circle when I got here, and obviously an opportunity to grow a relationship over the last 3+ years, and so for him, and I know it kind of got leaked a couple days earlier, but it went official today, for him to get elected into the Hall of Fame, huge congratulations, and much deserved, and for not only him, his whole family, and all the people that played for him and worked with him. So everybody, from not only myself but here in football, I want to congratulate him on that, and staying on a couple different things before we get into today's practice and y'all's questions, everything. I haven't had a chance to wish Mike Carey the best, and I want to do that. He's been very good to me here. I wish him the best in his retirement. And then a huge shout out to and this is my first test of the day here, so I'm going to get this right, all right? Coach Plitzuweit. And want to welcome her. And it's funny how things happen. So I had my two girls and I were a few weeks ago. We're sitting in a Mexican restaurant, and we're watching South Dakota beat Baylor. And then I come out of a press conference the other day, and here she is. She's coaching. So it's we want to welcome her to the Mountaineer family. And then last thing, that as far as is, what about the baseball game last night? Unbelievable. And so following that on my phone, and that's as exciting as college. And I don't talk about every game, but that was as an exciting and dramatic baseball game over TCU as I can remember watching. So congrats to Coach Mazey and those guys. Great day to be in the stadium. It's the first day we've been in there. Mixed bag. You're always going to have a mixed bag when you're going against yourselves. And today was the first day we just kind of put the ball down and let them play. And so rather than talk about units, I'm just going to talk about some people that stood out and kind of why, and then I'll take some questions. So defensively, Torres Simmons had a really good day. Had multiple sacks, and Coach Jackson kind of challenged him coming into the day. Didn't have one of his better days on Thursday, but I thought he was really good. And he's a guy we need to come on. Lee Koba, I thought at Mike linebacker showed today why we're excited about him. Charles Woods continues to makes a bunch of plays, and Marcus Floyd at his safety position was really physical today in the run game. Had an interception, I think, while y'all were in there, and then Jordan Jefferson playing in the middle. That's a guy that just continues to get better. Missed the first couple days with an injury, but been back now for all of this week. And I thought he was a difference maker interior today. Offensively, I thought our left side of our offensive line, really from the center over, played well. Frazier, which continues, he sets the standard up there. But I thought Wyatt Milam at left tackle played really well. And then James Gamitter. He's been consistent. He's had a great offseason, so I was excited about how he played today. Then I thought at running back, we came out and did some good things. Tony Mathis, who we didn't get tackled, but I thought he ran in our third period, did a nice job. I thought Justin Johnson was good, and I think we talked about him maybe earlier in the week, but he's a guy that you can see that it's clicking for him now. Huge difference between where he was in the fall to where he is right now as far as his comfort. And then receiver Preston Fox, when y'all were in there, the kid makes plays. He catches the ball, gets himself in good position. Quarterbacks have a lot of trust in him. Sam James made a huge play. I think it was after you all. He made two huge plays, I think, after you all left. And then Caden Prather. Caden Prather probably had 200 plus. Had one while you all were there that he should have had in the end zone, but probably had 200 plus yards today. Was and looked like a guy that we really see. And then Parker made a huge field goal I can't remember if it was before or after y'all were there, but like a 51, 52 yarder that he put through the uprights. So that was good to see. So with that, I'll take questions.
Neal, so in some of the stuff that we got to see, and first of all, appreciate the extra time that we got. But offensive line-wise, you mentioned the left side. Jaquai Hubbard was with the first unit at right side. So your thoughts on him as he progresses through?
Yeah, so Brandon was out today, so he wasn't dressed out. Nothing serious. He'll be back hopefully on Tuesday. But Jaquai got in there, and like I think we talked about this earlier. Jaquai has really changed his body over the last, really since he joined us, coming from UVA there, and I think he's growing at that position. He was a guy that really played interior O-line when he was heavier. Now as he's kind of leaned up, we think his best opportunity to help us is at tackle, and he has the opportunity to play both sides. But he got all the reps at right tackle today, and I thought he performed pretty well. And he's still got some room to grow. He gets himself in some bad body positions sometimes, but he's a guy. He and Jordan White are guys that we need to continue to come. And to this point, through six practices, I'm pleased at how they're developing, both he and Jay White.
Stick with the tackle theme then. A guy that you obviously got a bunch of reps today. Walk on with a great Mountaineer family and Dylan Ray. So what do you see out of Dylan? What's his future like? It's not as big as his dad.
Yeah, his dad is I don't know if he's the biggest offensive lineman here, but he's and obviously a guy that had a great career here. But Dylan redshirted last year. The developmental group was really good for him. He's got good feet. He plays a little high right now. He's not strong enough at the point of contact, but from an athleticism standpoint, he definitely can. And he's a guy that Coach Moore is really high on. And he's probably a year away from being able to play in a Big 12 game, but he's a guy that we really believe in that has a future here.
What happened with the game? Does that change? Do you guys need to get another defensive lineman, or is it still kind of
he wasn't practicing this spring, and so really we were going through the spring, because there's some guys that are playing that I think it's too early to tell. I'll be able to tell you after 15 practices, and what I mean by that is Ike Lawton. He was going to get a ton of reps. We want to see. Eddie V's not out there during the spring. Right now we hoped where he can get back and do some drills toward the end of it. But if you look at it, Jalen Thornton is a guy that y'all have heard me mention. I think he continues to get better. This is going to be a huge spring for him. Jordan Jefferson was established from about the midpoint last year on. There were some games where he started and played a ton of snaps. And so we feel good about the direction he's trending. Dante gives us some flexibility. We're keeping him out of the full tackle stuff. Torres Simmons is a guy that we really need to come on. Sean Martin, I think this is going to be a huge spring for him, and he flashed today. Now, from a consistency standpoint, I need to watch the film, but he flashed today and did some good things. So I think we've got bodies there. I think a lot of it's going to depend on, Hammond Russell is another one. He's having a little bit of a back today, so he didn't go. So we've got it. The numbers there are fine. We just got to make sure that those guys continue to raise their game. So I don't think it's like a must where we have to go back and go out and get an interior or a D lineman. Period. I think it's a wait and see on it.
Have you been assignment wise?
So offensively we don't have a whole lot in, and so today was from a it was pretty clean. We let the threes go, and those are a lot of the newcomers, and it got a little sloppy there. That's why that was one of the major reasons when y'all left is we did a little 2-minute drill, and then the threes went, and they're not ready to perform in front of people yet. So it got a little sloppy there, but defensively, we're not doing as much right now just because I think when you've got some new pieces, whether it's Lee Koba, whether it's Marcus Floyd, Aubrey Burks, like those kind of guys that are in the middle there, let's just line up and let them play rather than trying to blitz and stunt the front a bunch. Let's line up and let them play, and then we can teach them some of the schematics we want to do later. So we were pretty clean on defense. Offensively, for 6 practices in with a relatively different scheme, I thought that those guys did, as far as knowing what to do, it was pretty good. Now we got to clean up some of the details of it.
As the spring goes on, do you try to give them more to see how they handle it?
Yeah, for sure, we'll do that. But the thing too is like to me, it's the spring is about all right. You got to get better fundamentally. All right, you got to make sure you know the schemes. All right, which you got 15 practices, which over 5 weeks, man, you should get everything that you need to get in during that time. And the third thing is teaching them situational football within competitive situations. To do that, get really good evaluations. All right, is you got to make sure that you're doing it in a way that the best can show. Right, and so I don't want those guys thinking, especially the new guys.
Go back to something that you said Thursday.
Yep.
I'm paraphrasing, but basically said that you were more confident, more resolute in how you're running your program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining you were evaluating that, thinking about that as to what effect that may have played, and you come out convinced, but did you question it, look into it, wonder if that has something to do with things?
Yeah. So I think anytime that something doesn't go, or you don't see something that happens, right? Maybe catches you off guard. You go back and, I'm a guy that likes to take some time. And I always self-evaluate before I evaluate anything else. And it's just kind of the way that I think it's the best way to operate, or it's the way that I've operated the best in the past. And so, what I did is I went through the process. You want to self-evaluate, and here's the thing: I was hurt by that, and I think I tried to say that in a way where it was understood. I was really really hurt by what happened earlier in the week, and so you go back. And this is what I meant by this, and hopefully this will make you or answer your question. Your follow up here is you go back and you say, okay, well, why did it hurt? Well, it hurt because, man, I think the best way to go about it is you pour into kids, right? You pour into them and you give them everything that you can possibly give them from a personal investment, from surrounding them with infrastructure, and I still believe that's the right way to do it. And that's the way we've been doing. That's the way we'll continue to do it. And there's going to be instances in the world we live in college football now where you're going to do everything that you can for certain individuals and they're still going to leave. Okay? And so to me, all right, what you sit there and think is you go, wow, we're doing all this. Is it worth it? And it's absolutely, yes, it's worth it. Because, and that's what when I said, like, we're going to have a lot more success stories than we do where you're really hurt when people that you grow and develop and they leave. There's still going to be a lot more success stories. So does that make sense? That's like we're going to continue, not only me personally, but our coaching staff and our entire support services, is we're going to pour into these guys and give them everything we got. And if we do that, there's going to be a lot more success stories.
So to follow with that,
Mm-hmm.
we get the question, you probably get it, well, is something wrong with the program when you have players leave? So your answer when you get that, and even your inner thought.
Yeah, so I think when you look at it, I think each situation when somebody leaves, it's a unique, first of all. I tell you very confidently, and you can talk to the kids, like, we don't have a culture problem here. You know what I mean? Like, I think y'all have been at practice enough. Like, y'all notice, you've been here through, I don't know, we've had access almost half the practices we were here. If there was something that was really sticking out, y'all notice it. That stuff, you don't hide it. Right? You don't hide it. Those things really stick out. And if you look, I think if you look at the sidelines and you look and see how the kids interact and you look at the staff and the player interactions, those are really clear to me. And so I think when you evaluate, you have to evaluate on all these unique situations because these kids are making situations and they're not thinking about the program as a whole. They're thinking about themselves individually. And so, and I think they're all different. I think there's a lot of outside influences that affect. Some of them are get to them better than others, but there are outside influences. But I think you have to do it. You have to look at it from a each situation, and the way that I think that we've gone about it is I'm very conscious of that these are young people, and so most of them have different reasons behind it. And what I've tried to do is really shelter them because there's been some instances where it's really clearly the best for that individual and for the program to separate. There's been some where, their role was not exactly what they wanted, and hey, I get it, I understand it. And there's been a few, and this has been very few that have left, and I'm like, I really wish they weren't. I think they have a better opportunity here. But I think you have to look at them each separately.
Have you had any conversations with other coaches, because it's not just happened here, about how you can protect your roster?
Well, I think that it's so new. Everybody's trying to figure it out, and roster management's different now than it ever has been, and I think the basketball coaches have been dealing with it, and so they're probably in a little bit more advanced. We got a whole new team. Yeah, I mean, I saw that. Somebody sent that to me yesterday. Yeah, somebody sent that to me yesterday. There's not one scholarship player on the roster right now.
The recruits, too, are gone.
Yeah, and so, they've been dealing with it where you build basically for each season. And basketball's been dealing with that. And there's going to be a certain aspect of that in football. Obviously, you're not going to turn over a complete roster in football like you can in basketball, but there's going to be a certain piece of that where you're building for each season rather than the length of a career.
Does that impact your patience? I mean, before you could say, well, I got this kid for 4 years. We can develop him and grow him. I mean, the clock is sped up. So
yeah, I think what it does is, and somebody asked about redshirting, maybe pre-spring. So I think what it does is you have to reassess your thoughts on redshirting, and you have to be more conscious, more intentional about playing guys earlier and finding roles for them.
Is there anything that could be done? You mentioned outside noise, some of that stuff like that. Is there anything that could be done to stop that, or is it kind of just it is what it is?
No, I think so. And I think like portal thoughts, right? I'm not against the portal. Like I don't. But I think there has to be boundaries, right? I think we have to look at it and we have to assess there's boundaries. And I think and I've talked about, y'all have heard me talk about this, so I'm not saying anything new, is there has to be, we have free agency. And it's 365, 24/7. Well, there's no other enterprise that has free agency 365, 24/7, right? And so that's what it is. It's free agency. So we've got to have some time frames around the free agency. And so there's things that go around the portal that I don't agree with that I don't think are right, okay? But I don't think it's like this is necessarily the platform to talk about that, okay? I think there's other means to kind of clean some of that up. But my job is okay, here's what we're dealing with right now. Here's the rules. How do we respond to it and play it into our advantage? All right, we've got to figure that out, okay?
Back to performances today on the field. Garrett Green hit a couple big passes. So just quarterbacks in general, your thoughts of what you saw out of them today?
Yeah, so Garrett had a nice day. He had a nice day. And they were live today. So when we thudded, they were part of the thud. And then when it was time to tackle, they were getting tackled. Now, our defensive players, and they're still used to not hitting them. So, they weren't totally comfortable with it. We're going to do that for the next two tackle situations as well. But Garrett threw the deep ball well today. That's the thing that really stuck out is he threw the deep ball well. Nico was feast and famine. Like, we always got to think about when these high school kids, like he's a high school senior. And he went out there and he got reps with the ones in Power 5 football. And no offense, Hamilton High School where he played last year, they're really good. But there's a little bit of difference between that and going out and playing against our first group of defenders, right? So the game's happening fast. I was really proud of him because I thought he threw an interception, I think, while you guys were there, and he bounced back really well from that. And he didn't hang his head. I thought that was positive. Goose had a long run for a touchdown today on a draw play, and I thought he did a good job of moving up in the pocket and hitting some plays downfield.
Neal, this is a hard one to answer too because I don't know if we can highlight here, but I'm just thinking of guys that either didn't see very much of in the spring or the fall last year, or at all, or you're just curious, like Hammond, for example. But someone who's out there now, whether it's new or in a new role, anybody beginning to get your attention or who's had to maintain your attention?
Yeah. I'll go through that. That's why Brandon's in here because let's start up front. And I talked about Torres. Torres played a little bit last year defensively, but was more of a special teams player. I thought he definitely played well today. I think he had multiple sacks, maybe had 3. And then Hammond Russell was coming along. And so, and Kenyon asked us, we're talking about this, how I answered his question is Hammond is a guy that it can be a really good player within what we're trying to do defensively, and he's different. He and JJ have been different than what we've been playing with. We've been playing with more of a quick front, and that's hurt us some when we've played against these teams that are really big and have ran the ball well. And it's a follow-up to what I said. defensively, one of the things we've got to get better at is we got to get better at playing against the run against the best teams in our league. Like we've played against from middle to the bottom. We've played pretty well against the run. We've got to play the run better against the best teams. And those bigger bodies, JJ and Hammond, are going to give us that opportunity. And Hammond showed some signs early. Now, he had a back deal bothering him today, nothing serious. In the back, Andrew Wilson-Lamp is I think he's showed signs. Again, he redshirted, played a little bit of special teams last year, Mike, but he's a guy that we need to, and he's coming. Another guy that's a walk-on that is getting reps right now because some of our depth is Caden Beiser. And he showed that he's going to be a quality special teams player. And then Davis Mallinger at the spear. He made a couple big plays while y'all were in there. Had one really smart practice rep where he took it, kind of let up on JJ. We missed a block or Justin Johnson. We missed a block on the perimeter, but Davis has showed. Offensively is Jalen Anderson had some really good runs during the second part of the practice today, and he kind of redshirted himself last year, but he's a guy that is talented. He's got great contact balance, as good as I've been around from a contact balance standpoint. And then Traylon Davis, a tight end. I haven't mentioned him, but he's a guy that redshirted last year that has done really well in the block game. We haven't utilized him in the pass game much, but I thought he blocked really well.
How does the zone play work with the quarterbacks? Is it where you want it?
You talking about the read?
Yeah, the read.
Yeah, so that's an element that we haven't had. That'll when you have a quarterback, what happens is so the backside. All right, so we're a tight zone team. So our inside zone really hits right up the A gaps, and so what happens is your backside is where it really gets squeezed. So if you have the ability to run, it makes that end or that will backer or the safety, it makes them respect the quarterback, right? And so when you have the ability to run, you hold that rather than having to neck it or boot or do some things in the RPO game because they can do it. And so are we where we want to be? No. We've gotten better at the inside zone play, right? We're stronger up front, so we're creating movement. I always use the word expansion. For a couple of years we've just kind of been tying. Well, now we're in, and we did this against kind of the middle group in our league last year. Is that during the second half of the season we were really getting expansion. When we played Minnesota, they were really good up front, not as much. And that was a point of emphasis during the offseason. Man, we play those fronts like Minnesota's, man, we're going to have to get expansion. And so we're starting to do a better job of that and getting expansion versus good players. As far as the quarterbacks, we've got to do a better job being disciplined with our hands. All right, when we're given the ball, that'll help us. And then today was a starting point. We read and did some things in the read game that we haven't really done to try to create some pool opportunities, which we got a couple. And we've got to they haven't done it a bunch. Like Goose and Nico and Garrett all ran the ball in high school and ran it effectively. We just hadn't asked them to do it through 5 practices. Today was the first time we've really asked them to do it, and so they're a little rusty. So we'll continue to work on that.
You've mentioned Marquise Floyd a number of times. Obviously, corner mainly at Murray. You're playing him at safety. Safety ultimately his spot, or what do you think?
The good thing about Marcus is, and one of the real reasons that we liked him, and when he went in the portal with that heart, you get divided because my dad's alma mater is Murray. All right, so I get in trouble if I don't say that. So at Murray, first of all, he was really well coached. All right, those guys there do a really good job defensively. The head coach is a superman, and he's been a really good defensive coach for a long time. But they use Marcus in a bunch of different roles. Like he played nickel, he played safety, and he played corner. Okay, and so here he's going to have the opportunity to play safety or kind of the boundary corner position. And what we really figured out early on in his tenure here, he's really intelligent and he'll communicate. And we wanted to have somebody that had played football. He's got a bunch of college snaps. Now, maybe it's not in the Big 12 or maybe it's not here at West Virginia, but he's got a bunch of snaps. And so we wanted to put a veteran there that had played a bunch of college football snaps that will communicate, and it has football intelligence, and that's why we put him there. We do some things during practice where he gets some corner reps, but right now I foresee him, and it could change, but I foresee him playing safety for us.
Anything else?
I want to mention this too. I didn't see this on social media, but I heard of I heard John got into some. And what was that they were telling me that you got into last night?
Oh, there was somebody raising some money for the
No, I'm not talking about that. They said you got into a weird drink last night.
Oh, yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I'm joking with him about that. But somebody sent me a couple screenshots last night of a fun, like that they were raising money online. I thought that was really cool, and I think it really speaks to our fan base. And so, but I saw some of those screenshots, and so just whoever was involved in that, I'll say thanks from us. And notes. I always say this, man. This is a special place, and my wife and my kids have really enjoyed being around here because the Morgantown community is a great place to raise a family. It's been, but like you want to coach at a place where it matters. You want to coach at a place that matters. And when you coach at a place that matters, when things don't go right, you hear about it, and that's fair, right? But you want to coach at a place that really, really matters and that are passionate. And so when I saw those screenshots last night, I was like, man, this is really cool. And this is a place where it matters, and they get it. And so, like I said, I don't know who all was involved in that, but I'm not saying that you all were, but this is really for the fans that were involved in that. I noted and much appreciated. So, and I brought it to the attention of our team as well. So, thank y'all.